Wasteland. Yes, welcome back, brothers. That's right, we are here to look at Gaslands UK's Car of the Month competition for March 2024, the 5th season of this fine competition, my brothers. That's right, we are looking at the little tiny tots crazy Tykes themed month. My first Gaslands car. Oh yes. Oh, what a theme, what a competition. As always, I'm your host, James Hall of JH Miniatures, and this episode is being kindly sponsored and brought to you by Hayland War Games Terrain. So, before we get too carried away, can we all just take a moment to give a gigantic shout out thank you to the fine folks at Hayland War Games Terrain and their wonderful array of 28mm and Gasland scaled parts for all your post-apocalyptic needs. So as always, take a moment to check out the website in the description link down below, and free delivery on all UK orders. Just use the discount code MINISALE10 for 10% off, and a free miniature with metal or resin orders of over £50. Oh yes. And with a sponsor like this, you know that the prizes are going to be good this month. So we have, for first place winners, a £30 gift voucher, a second place winner, £20, and a third place winner, as chosen by our sponsor, a £10 voucher. Oh yes, £60 of value, my friends. And with prizes like these, a sponsor like this, you know that the theme just had to be completely out there. And we've all seen it. We've all seen the little Tykes cozy coupe that just drives us all mad, that we all have such fond rose-tinted apocalyptic memories of a bygone era where we could just toodle around the little kiddie playground, bumping into other kids and knocking over gas cans. And yet we so rarely see it taken and turned into a wonderful Wasteland build. We so rarely see the little ride-on cars actually being used. So we thought, enough, it is time. This month, this is the time. The 5th year of this competition. Let us do what, something like 10 years of post-apocalyptic modelling at this scale no one has really bothered to invent. We wanted to see your children's pedalo cars turned into Mad Max Fury Road inspired builds, bolt on those miniguns and spikes, and just dig out all those tuned castings that we all hoard but we have no idea what to do with. Oh yes, and what can I say? With what was it, something like nearly 30 finished builds from this month? You guys have not disappointed. Yes, but let us start this month off strong, my brothers, by looking at the work of the one, the only Adam Pollard for this month. Oh yes. Now, Adam, I will be brutally honest with you, my friend. I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to have a look at your build. The reason for this being, I tend to dwell on your builds a bit because I like them. I like the work that you do, my friend. The reality is, if you start showing up month after month, people go, there's a bit of favoritism there. So I was gonna skip it, but mate, when we talk about doing a month where we want people to take the little Tykes car and turn it into a Wasteland hot rod, and then you deliver us exactly that, how can I not talk about this entry? Like, mate, this is spot on. This is absolutely spot on to what I had in mind. Like, you've taken that wonderful classic hot rod base car and you've expanded it and changed it and lifted the ceiling. Like, it's still, this is where perspective becomes a funny thing, because this is still an adult-sized car that you've made look like a kid's car, right? You've done a lot of cutting and chopping, don't get me wrong. You've done a lot to make this fit the theme, the aesthetic, and I absolutely adore the work that you've done to this, my friend. Like, I love the fact that you can see the little driver's feet sticking out the bottom from some of the angles. Like, look, there he is with the little pedalo. He's gonna chase after you in the Wasteland. Well, admittedly, he's got a hot rod engine on there, so I think it'll be fine. You got it. We announced the theme, and you just went, yes, this has to happen. I've got the perfect stock car. Let's do this. And you went out all guns blazing, and I love to see it. I think little things for me that could just do with a little bit of tightening up and improving. extending any bodywork is hard. So the fact that you've tried to like lift the ceiling and extend the back panels and all this around the windscreens, like it's a bit rough. You can see where you've put the inserts in and done a bit of green stuff work and smoothed it. And don't get me wrong, in the automotive industry, people spend hours agonizing over this stuff. And that, like those little seam lines where you can see like, oh, that wouldn't have been acceptable in the industry. But that's the thing, you're doing this in like 4 weeks, you're doing this in a couple of weekends. Like, this is great, my friend. Don't you sweat it. Other little things, like I'm not sure what's meant to be going on with the exhausts as they connect to the engine. Like, it's a stock Hot Wheels engine, stock exhaust, stock everything, stock radiator. But that paint job, is it meant to be the metals getting hot? Is it painted to look orangey yellow like fire, like this thing is exploding? I just don't get it. Honestly, Adam, fantastic entry from this month. As always, my friends, the quality that we have come to expect from you. Oh, yes. But if we're talking about our first Wasteland builds, how can I not talk about newcomer to this fine competition of ours, the one, the only Tony Cornish for this month? Oh, yes. And there you go. There it is. It is red and it is yellow. And it's got a combination of a trash can and a boxing glove attached to the side of it. I'm guessing it's meant to be rocket powered. I'm guessing that's meant to shoot off and hit the other cars, right? Honestly, Tony, for a first time coming to this competition, you've got ambition. You've got a lot of energy in you, my friend, and I like to see it. The off-road exo cage that you've built out of paper clips and wire, I like it. I just kind of wish that you did a bit going into the front and the bumper of this thing. It is a little bit paint by numbers, isn't it? It's just red and yellow and silver and black, and all the colours are where they need to be. I feel like the boxing glove, like that orange, is just the stock material of that plastic. And it kind of gets me because you should really paint that. You should paint it to be red or something, that ties into the little Tykes theme. You gotta put someone behind the wheel, my friend. You gotta put someone in there. I'm just looking at these flat red chairs and they're just empty. There's just nothing there. But honestly, mate, for a first time coming into this competition, you understood the brief perfectly. You were like, yes, it is time. It is time for the Armageddon that is the little pedalo cars. And here is my entry. I am ready. I am ready for the wasteland. I'm ready for Gaslands. Take me now. Oh, yes. Love it. Absolutely love it, Tony. Welcome to the apocalypse, my friend. But if we're talking about little tots, little terrors inspired builds, how can I not talk about the work of returning heavyweight champion of 2023 and 2024? That's right, Nathan Coolman's flexing onto the screen as he appears with this beautiful car. Oh, my friend. I love it. Isn't that one of those little Belgian bug things? This teeny tiny little one-man cars. Again, this is one of those, the car's already in scale. You've not had to do anything to make it fit the brief, but honestly, perfectly matched, right? Perfectly matched. You see people drive like those little smart cars. There's that one guy that actually made his look like the little Tykes car. Like, honestly, mate, perfect. Absolutely perfectly done here. And the detail is, as we've come to expect from you, just chef's kiss, absolutely to die for. The driver, the little passenger, you've painted him up to look like a little baby in a sailor suit. Mate, that's all kinds of messed up, but I like it. I like what you've done there. My man, yes. I am so happy. I am so happy coming into this year. You're like, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm doing as many months as I can, baby. I'm rooting for you. I hope you go for the 12 of 12. If this is what we've got to look forward to from you for the rest of this year, God damn it, I'm sold, my friends. Oh yes, I'll have one in the post. I love just the little attention to detail things like the heavy machine gun poking through the front headlight. But then you've actually gone the length of, it's not just a barrel poking out. You can see when you disassemble it, you can see the gun receding alongside the driver. Like, mate, that is so cool. That is so good. Yes. Spot on, Nathan, as always. And honestly, just keep it up, my friend. I want to see you do 12 of 12. I hope that's what you've got in store for us, because January, February and March have been so good, and I cannot wait to see what you do for April. Oh, yes. But if we are talking about returning heavyweight champion to the world, how can I not talk about the work of my boy, Richard Hubbard's entry from this month? Oh, yes. And if you want scale, he brings it in spades. He went for a Micro Machines as the base of this car. So, yes, it's actually a small, teeny tiny ride on car in scale of the drivers and the normal Hot Wheels cars that we would use. It's like, yes, that is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see people take the tuned builds, the overly cartoony builds. We wanted to see creativity and ingenuity like this. Honestly, Richard, mate, my friend, you knew what you were doing. There's lots to love about this build. I love all the little anime kitty cat iconography. I think those like pink leopard print or cougar print or whatever the hell those are. I think those trousers the passenger's wearing, mate, oh boy, that's you went all out with that one. And trust me, as someone who in the past has painted like leopard print on the inside of a car, man, it takes a lot of time, don't it, to get it to look right. It takes a lot of time, and you've done really, really well. There are aspects of this that I kind of wish you took a little bit more time on, and I think if those windscreens weren't dark, if you had the blue and the yellow, if you had them inverted, so like blue on the bottom, yellow on top, heavy color on the bottom, light color on top, basic theory, it works. That driver wouldn't be so hidden because I'm guessing for a lot of you guys looking at the screen right now, you may have taken a little bit of a double take. You might have gone, oh, that's a nice little car, and the guy's riding on top, and that's it. You might not have noticed the head of the little guy smushed into the tiny little compartment that he's trying to drive this Red Bull rally vehicle down. Like, mate, it's a testament to all the stuff you can just smash into a very small area, isn't it? Like the little paint sprayer or oil slick sprayer at the back and the little heavy machine gun under the hood. Like there's lots of little things that work. I'll be honest with you, Richard. I'm not a fan of like swords and things on builds that aren't, medieval themed. I get that it could also be like forklift truck inspired, but I feel like those little forks kind of detract from it. I think the heavy machine gun up front would be enough. And if you're worried about like, oh, but what if it hit another car? Just build like a little, guard, a little metal rail around the front of the machine gun. You'd be fine. That's all you need. That's all you need, my friend. Honestly, Richard, like so many of your builds, love it. Absolutely love it. I do look forward to seeing maybe a few more Micro Machines inspired builds in our Wasteland future because it's stuff like this that makes us go, oh yeah, those exist, don't they? And I could do that. So, oh, mate, wonderful stuff. Absolutely wonderful. But if we are talking about returning fan favourites, how can I not talk about Arise Lightspear's entry from this month? Oh yes, just wonderfully smashing Mad Max and Warhammer 40,000 together, aren't you, my friend? With the chibi-headed Sisters of Battle in the driver's seat there. I mean, you have a wonderful knack for making builds because of all the use of actual metal and actual pipe and wires and sheet metal. Your builds look always look a little bit out of scale to the Hot Wheels parts. They always look a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. And this is one of those wonderful examples where this is a big build. There's no shadow of a doubt. Next to other Hot Wheels cars, this is large. It's in scale, but it's large. But then you've got this giant racing seat and steering wheel and the illusion of the ride-on car. It's sold. It works. It's just I wish you didn't go for a 40k character. Like, I've got nothing against the Sisters of Battle. I think they're wonderful. They're smoking hot babes with 80s fringe haircuts. What's not to love? But, unless she's a cosplayer going to a convention, it kind of doesn't work for our Wasteland, all right? I mean, it's not even a paint job thing. Like the paint job here is wonderful. The metals all look super real, and I know you do that wonderful combination of real metals and painted metal effects, so it's extra specially realistic. With all the custom engine work and all those wonderful barrels cut and chopped and fuel siphoned and oh my friend, it's just the figure. And if that was something else, it would just really sell the illusion. It would just work so beautifully. Honestly, Arise, love seeing you take part, my friend, and I want you to come back for more. Oh, yes, yes, my friend, come back for more. I want to see what else you have in your wonderful, weird workshop for us. Oh, yes, my friend. But if we want supersized, larger-than-life figures, how? How can I not talk about Rob Churchill's entry from this month? Yes, my friends, welcome, welcome to the party. It is good to see you here. And this is the kind of thing we're talking about. A tuned build. Admittedly, this is sort of based on one of those cars vehicles, so it's got the giant googly-eyed windscreen and the big mouth in the bumper. But this is what we're talking about with the scale, and you can have a big figure in your build because then it makes everything else look smaller around it. And historically, Warhammer bits are out of scale for Gaslands. They just are. You've all heard me say 100 times how like GW skulls and so on are all too big. This is a wonderful example of that. Used right, done correctly. Oh yes, take advantage of that scale difference. Like I love how a lot of this is orc parts, right? You got the orc torso, the orc arms, you got that orc slugger painted to look like a Nerf gun, which is just absolutely genius because those guns are bigger than normal guns. The only thing that could make that better is if you had like a little dart shooting out the end, and then it's in scale to the actual heavy miniguns on either side of the engine, right? It's in scale to the wonderfully over the top spoiler. It's in scale too, and I'm guessing bolt action World War II German soldier head, because it's got that wonderful. There's something about the steel helm where it just has that wonderful biker aesthetic, and then you do that with the dark paint job. The only thing that's needed to elevate this, right, is just some kind of iconography like a skull or a star or something on those flat metal panels, or even that flat space you've got at the back by where the exhaust is, because some of these areas are a bit flat and a bit boring, and then the eye doesn't have anything to rest on, so it goes, oh, that spoiler does just look like a few bits of plastic chopped up and stuck together, and bam, there you go, spoiler. Which isn't bad, it's just, come on, my friend, come on, there's extra level stuff here, come on, raise the bar, come on. I'll always have a bee in my bonnet about GW parts, but I can overlook it when it works, and it works well, and it works well. The idea here is solid, right? I will die on this hill. This is a good idea. It's just taking it the next step. Like you still fall into that trap of right. I've got to make some bits of this rusty. The rusty patches around the bonnet and the engine. You just putting random orange splotches on, aren't you? It would be either around areas of impact or it would be on the top where water pools or scratches occur. It's not just going to be here, there, and everywhere. You've got to put a bit more thought into those rust pans, my friend. But honestly, Rob, wonderful, wonderful work from this month. But if we are talking about big, outrageous builds from this month that challenge the definition of scale, how could I not talk about the wonderful folding baby carriage contraption from Stephanie Shibatsuji Perrin? You can guarantee I've pronounced that name wrong. Stephanie, my friend, what an entry for this month. What a way to introduce yourself to our fine community. Like this is a big build, isn't it? And there's a lot to like here. And I got to point this out straight away, boys and girls. The actual metal of this baby carriage, it moves because from shot to shot to shot, those individual supporting beams, they're in different locations. Sometimes it's 3 in front, 2 in the back, sometimes it's 2 in the front, 3 in the back, sometimes it's all in the front, none in the back, and you're able to move it based on what you want to take the photos around, which is really cool. But also in game it would have a function. You'd be able to go, right, I need more armor at the front, smash, there's my ram at the front of the vehicle protecting me, or whatever, you name it, right? Honestly, wonderful little bit of ingenuity and engineering work going on there. This is a big vehicle, right? This is a truck. It might be a little ride-on truck that's been modified, but then this is where all the elements of scale start sort of faltering a little bit, because I can buy a truck that's made to look like a giant baby carriage, right? What I can't buy is, if the thing is meant to be small, then why is that machine gun so tiny by comparison to things like the steering wheel or the seats? But then if this is meant to be normal size, why oh why are things like the teddy bear at the back, or those exhausts, or just some of the little details like the headlights, why are they just so either massive or really small and compact by comparison? Like, it's a little, as hard as it would be, especially for a first time entering the competition, a single figure on this would just perfectly translate the scale. And it's the only thing. If you ever revisit this build, and I recommend you do, not because it's bad, but because you can do more, you can add to it. I would put a little guy sat on one of those stools holding onto that gear steering wheel, because it would solve the question once and for all then and there. Right, how big is this meant to be? Because it's a ride on, but it's also a baby carriage, but it's also in scale with a car. Oh, it might be in scale with a Hot Wheels car. And that's the thing, it raises too many questions. What a way to introduce yourself to this fine community of ours. Love it. Absolutely love it, Stephanie. And I cannot wait to see what else you have in store for us. Oh, yes. Speaking of newcomers to the competition, how can I not look at the work of Luther Fernando and his entry for this month? Oh, yes. Luther, buddy, my friend, what an entry. Oh my goodness, I love it. It's the concept and execution. It's a little all over the shop with this one, isn't it? I mean, you've got motorcycle parts, you've got Hot Wheels car body parts, you've got what looks like a monster truck wheel at the back, you've got some kind of rocket launcher or laser cannon or whatever that pod thing on the side is. And then you've got a seating area, which for the longest time I thought that was like an engine, because I couldn't quite make out what the little spiky silvery bit was. But that's actually the chair, isn't it? Some poor bugger has to impale himself on that. Like, mate, this is where you have to take a step back sometimes during the building process and go, does this read easily enough? Because then when you get into the painting process, and I see you're trying to tie things together with those areas of pink, especially with the pink flames, but then the pink flames on the sides, they become highlights with white highlights. Then is it doing like a cell shaded thing? And it's too many questions. You got to spell it out for us, buddy. You got to slow down. You got to contain the madness. You got to control the madness, so that you can, really show us what you're capable of. Like, honest, it looks like that's a welded chain steering wheel. Like, that is such a cool bit to look at, but it's so obscured by all this other stuff that you got going on here that I can't really admire it. And it's things like neatening it up with the paint, and just figuring a little bit out ahead of time what it is you're trying to pull off. And also, what is going on with those tires? What is going on with the dirt in those tires? It looks like you've rolled it around in the sand. I know you might want some authentic dirt textures on there, my friend, but oof, oh boy, use paint. Don't just smush it in some soil, all right? But honestly, wonderful first time entry, my friend, and I look forward to what else you have in store for us this year. Oh, yes, Luther! And let us finally finish looking at the work of another newcomer. I know it's so nice to have some fresh meat, some fresh blood, some young blood in this competition, my friend. So let's have a look at the work of the one, the only Lewis Harrison from this month. Oh, yes. Lewis, buddy, pal. Look at the amount of filth and grime and rust that's going on here. And there's a real psycho element to this, where that blood red racing stripe, it's just splotchy and flicked on enough that you half think it's not a racing stripe at all, and that's some poor bugger it's skewered and just thrown front to back and given it that war marking. Honestly, what a way to enter the competition, and in style. Oh yes, there are wonderful little fixture points on this that are just mwah, to die for. Like, those, you got those wonderful wheel arches at the back over those custom wheels. You've got that wonderful bent metal sort of crimped texture, and then these wonderful little plates, these little hazard stripe plates that are holding it in place. Oh, honestly, what a wonderful little touch. The actual spikes, the Bodicea spikes, the chariot spikes on the wheels, the ones at the front where it's sort of semi hand done, they're just horrific. They're just brutal, aren't they? In French, they'd call it terrible because it's just so gnarly and mean and like, yeah, you're gonna do some damage with them in a good way. Wonderful, wonderful use of mixed bits from different manufacturers. Like you've got the North Star buggy panels as like exoskeleton armor either side. The little racing seat and console, is that just a single go button? Just hit red and go fast. Honestly, it's all you need. I might tone it down a little bit on the dirt because some of the tyres you've just put splotches on and it doesn't make much sense. And then in other areas, it works wonderful and you think that's just the right amount, that's perfect. So it's just refining and fine tuning those little elements. But honestly, what a way to enter this competition. Just keep coming back for more because you got it in you to go far, kid. Oh yes, wonderful stuff, Lewis. But yes, it is time, my friends, to look at everyone's favourite returning segment from the Car of the Month videos. That's right, it's time for the spanner and spoon of praise and punishment. Oh yes. So without any further ado, this month's Chrome Spanner goes to the one, the only Heartbreak Kid. That's right, Ingvar Niebsen and his wonderful Chicken Walker entry from this month. Oh yes. Oh, what a fantastic take on the theme, my friends. And it does wonderfully use that giant oversized plain cartoony car that we all know and love. Like honestly, what a wild way to go with this month's theme. But the thing is, you do see ride-on cars and toys like this, right? Who hasn't gone to a supermarket and there hasn't been like one of those little forwards, backwards, kiddie entertainment things that you can just plop your toddler in and give them like 5 minutes of feeling like they're shooting aliens or whatever, or speeding in a Lamborghini. It's a wonderful use of that casting. And the legs and the paint job and just all the wonderful fiddly little bits and those beautiful little decals, that beautiful decal work, not only giving it that wonderful shark's grin that we all love, but also the bumblebee and the skulls and just that heavy metal Wasteland aesthetic. It just works so nicely, doesn't it? Honestly, fantastic stuff. Fantastic techniques here on display. Wonderful sense of scale and proportion. Love it. Absolutely love it. A worthy addition to the Chrome Spanner Hall of Fame. Oh, yes. But sadly, we have to talk about this month's Wooden Spoon Award winner. And yes, as much as it pains me, Jarell Bessie, I am going to have to gift you this month's wooden spoon. And Jarell, come on, my friend, you're better than this. I mean, okay, you got the colours right with the red and the yellow, but what is going on with some of the material work here? It looks like it's dragging a submarine bomb on a sled, but then you've got this. Did you just make this out of scrap? Did you just make this out of any old rubbish that you had lying around? Because there's the beginnings of something here. You got like the tyres and the little Jeep front, the little engine. You go, yeah, that tiny little, that 1/8 of the front of this build looks really good. And then you get blindsided by the back end of this. You go, oh my God, what is going on with like the rumble cage around the driver's seat and the bombs. What is going on with that bomb sled? It's just so unnecessary and adds nothing. It adds nothing to this build. And you painted it like 4 colours, like red, yellow, black and silver. Like, come on, Jarell. Come on. You're better than this, my friend. You break Daddy's heart. Come on, my son. What are you doing here, my friend? We need to talk about your photo booths for a minute, okay? I have accepted a lot of things over the years. I have accepted people photographing in their garden. I've accepted people photographing on their windowsill. I have accepted people photographing on a car tyre or on toilet paper. I have accepted many things, but I refuse to accept that this is a photo booth. Jarell, just 2 pieces of white paper and you get a better photo booth than this. I get that you've made this But that is not a good photo booth, and it's not helping your photos at all. Look at all the dust and rubbish that's on that surface, all the bits of hair and dirt, and just come on, my friend, come on. Get a couple of bits of plain white paper, one flat, one stood up, and you're done. That's all you need, buddy. That's all you need. Keep coming back for more, my friend, because I know you've got it in you. I know you can do this, Jarell. Come on, my friend. I'm rooting for you from the Wasteland. Oh, yes. Yes, but enough, my brothers, because it is time once again to look at the winners from this month's competition. So, without any further ado, start the drum roll, my brothers. That's right, because the winner of Gaslands UK's Car of the Month competition for March 2024 is Matt Whittam! Yes, congratulations, Matt. Come on down. Da, 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 da. Oh, what can I say, my friend? What's this, six victories now? Not back to back, admittedly, before any of you boys and girls start getting itchy. It's what a heavy hitter in this competition, my goodness. And what can I say? I think this build speaks for itself now, doesn't it? What a wonderful sense of scale. What a wonderful use of all those North Star metal military figures all over the back of this with the whole gang there. Just the beautiful attention to detail with the paint job. Painting the, like even the iconography on the back of a jacket, like it's all there and it all works so well. Honestly, mate, perfectly on theme, perfectly in scale. Everything we have talked about in this video you have embodied here today, my friend. I would be proud to ride into the apocalypse in the back of this van. Oh yes. Congratulations, Matt Whittam, and enjoy the £30 gift voucher that's on its way to you right now. Oh yes. But not to be outdone, in second place we have upcoming rival, I think, to Matt Whittam, as he had first place stolen from him back in January. So once again it has been stolen from him now in March. That's right, we're talking about the one, the only Nathan Coolmans. Oh yes, my friends, and come on, we've already talked about this enough, haven't we? What a solid build. What a solid build. If I had my way, Nathan, this would have been first. Believe me, my friends. But the older fossils amongst the admin team, they were just too overwhelmed with nostalgia when looking at Matt's entry. What can I say? Honestly, Nathan, congratulations and enjoy the £20 gift voucher that's on its way to you. Oh, yes. And finally, in third place, as chosen by the sponsor, Halen Wargame Terrain, how can we not celebrate the work of Michael Keith this month? Oh yes, Michael and his absolutely alien it's a baby VW camper van with a giant nappy. Oh, Michael, you make us question our sanity, my friend. And ultimately that is why Halen chose you for third place. Oh yes, enjoy the £10 gift voucher on its way to you. So yes, as always, my friends, I wish I could talk about every single entry in these videos, but these videos go on for hours, and even I don't have enough time for that in my life. So, as always, thank you so much for checking out the video today. Thank you to our wonderful sponsor, Halen Wargames Terrain. As always, a massive thank you to all the members of the admin team, Matt Reeve, Colin Harvard, Darren Phillips and David Bousset, and of course myself, James Hall of JH Miniatures. If you've enjoyed today's video, why don't you check out Big Cartel and have a look at some of the merchandise that we've got on offer. As always, hashtag buy James a mug, buy James a mug. I want one of those mugs, someone buy me one. Oh yes. And as always, thank you all for watching and tuning in, and I will see you all in the next episode. And as a bonus extra to this month's video, now that all the riffraff have left, leaving only us true die-hard Gaslands fans still watching, let us take a moment to enjoy something that the admin team cooked up in the background, which was some of the members having a little contest to see which one could create the best Japanese or Korean themed racer vehicle. Racer, of course, standing for Race Inspired Cosmetic Enhancements, but at the end of the day, it's your standard boy racer car. The only requirements in this was that it must have splitters and a wing or spoiler at the rear of the vehicle, a low or grounded stance, as well as 3D printed parts only being used for the wheels and tyres, everything else being scratch built. This was a little contest, and let us just quickly have a glance through. So I think it's worth pouring one out for David Bousset, who sadly could not make it past the starting line in this competition. As you can see, some brave attempts were made with the construction, but we're going to move swiftly along, shall we? Let us start with that titan of industry that is, of course, Colin Harvard and this absolute filthy beast of a machine. I think you've done a pretty good job with the extra armor and the low body stance. I kind of wish that you did a bit more sort of authentic combat damage to it, that rather than just a couple of scratches and a couple of like attempts at drilled holes. I think you get a file or something to the bodywork of this and just really get some deep grooves, especially around the wheel arches. It would elevate it. You don't have to paint all your scratches. You can actually model them in. I'm a really big fan of that heavy machine gun scratch build. I think that's wonderful. And can we also pour one out for the fact that that there are elements of this that you had to pull off and replace, like the heavy machine gun and the rear spoiler, only finding out once you cross the finishing line, oh, actually that would invalidate the build. It would miss the brief. So, oh, Colin, it's good to see you in form again, my friend. After that, how can we not have a look at that international man of mystery that is Matt Reeve and his very neon green entry for this month. It's always a nice sight to actually see Matt complete a build for this community, a car, a actual Wasteland car, as I appreciate that he spends the majority of his free time, fixing giant dinosaurs. The paint job is absolutely beautiful. I really want there to be an accent colour to this, because let's be brutally honest, Matt, it is two colours, isn't it? Before you added the dirt, it was literally green and black. Arguably the metal of the gun and some of the armour plates, oh, that's a different colour to black. But let's be brutally honest, it's just green and black. If you added, goodness, a streak of red, or as you all know, I'm a fan of the different body panels, a different colour, but then that would go against the sort of night race scene aesthetic, the sort of Need for Speed aesthetic. Maybe the rear spoiler, if you just did one of the panels on that rear spoiler a different colour, like a red, and then chucked on a sponsor logo, or even orange. I mean, you think back to your orange and white builds you've done in the past, you could easily do that here. But no, the focus is on the paint job. One logo, one icon, one bit of sponsorship or something slapped on there would have just worked wonderfully, but c'est la vie. And then finally, how can I not talk about the work of Darren Phillips for this contest? Oh yes, combining all the elements of the last two builds perfectly meshed together here, absolutely dabbing and schooling the old men of the contest. As we can see, wonderful combination of different colours and textures and materials and scratches and actual body damage. Love it. Absolutely love it, Darren. What a ferocious beast. And I've got to say, I'm always a fan of little custom pipes and little fuel cables that are painted yellow, because it just jumps out. It just catches the eye so nicely. I think it's worth pointing out on all of these, like elements like the reflections on the windscreens of the headlights, done really well. Really well. But yes, I suppose, who would James pick? I think it's pretty obvious I picked Darren's to win. So yes, that'll be a vote for A for me. Thank you very much. All right, thank you all for watching. Go on, see ya. Bye bye.